everybody. It's Stacy with Pageantry Now. Welcome to our special Thursday night edition of the show. I'm really excited about tonight's guest. She and I have been friends for over 5 years now, so I'm really excited to have her on and have her talk about her new title, Queen Beauty USA. It's Stormy Keffeler. So she'll be on in just a second. But before we do that, let's just talk a little bit about Pageantry Now and what we are all about. We are really about positivity and pageantry and highlighting all the amazing things title holders are doing using a crown and a sash to be able to change their world. We really want to be able to highlight uh, these amazing people because it's really hard to have a title, and so often you only hear about, you see the person that was crowned the night before, and then you don't see anything else, or you hear about a botched answer on stage, or my favorite, toddlers and tiaras. Uh, and that's not really pageantry. That's just what people think pageantry is. So we really are here to be able to share the great and amazing things that title holders do. Please feel free to ask questions. We want to encourage that. If you've got a question, ask it in the chat. If you're lucky enough to be one of the people that we put the question up, I will put it up on screen so everybody can see it. Please make sure that everything is PG-13. We do have teenagers that watch, so we want to make sure that the conversation is appropriate for them as well. And with that being said, we are gonna get started. So here we go. Hi.
Hello,
Oh my
lovely.
gosh, I'm so excited. I'm so happy to have you on.
Thank you. I know this has been a long time, like in the works between us, and I'm so excited that I could finally be on with you and, get to catch up.
Yeah, I know, because like the last time that we really were together was 2015, 2000, yeah, 2015,
Mm-hmm.
right? We were judging
Yep,
together.
Thanksgiving
Yeah,
weekend.
I know. Oh my gosh, crazy. All right, so introduce yourself. Tell everybody who you are.
So I'm Stormy Keffeler. I am the 2020 Queen Beauty USA.
Yay! I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. And you won the title not even 3 weeks ago. It'll be 3 weeks on Saturday, right? 2 weeks.
Yeah, 3 weeks on Saturday.
I was supposed to be there.
It
I
was
wasn't.
February. I know, I heard, and once I got all caught up in the loop because I came in like really last minute, like 3 weeks before the pageant, and I was like, "Oh my God, Stacey, nope, change of plans." Okay, but
Yeah.
we get to talk now, and that's what really
I
counts.
know. And I mean I felt really bad. I obviously, for anybody that doesn't know, I had to have emergency heart surgery, so it really was one of those things where the doctor knew kind of going into it that I wasn't going to be able to be there. And so anyway.
I mean, priorities. That's your health is important.
Small technicality. But anyways, um, which I'm so excited because I really, let's just talk. Let's talk a little bit about your whole story, because you really have a remarkable story that. And I've said it a couple times tonight, but you've been involved in pageantry for such a long time, and your family is as well. So let's just talk a little bit about why you do this crazy thing, pageantry, because it is crazy.
Yeah, honestly, I grew up in the madness. Like, I started competing when I was a year old. Like, I grew up doing the toddlers and tiaras stuff. And then once I turned about 17, 18, I switched over into the scholarship organizations. I competed with International Junior Miss as a Miss, started with Miss Washington USA, moved over to Miss Nevada USA, competed with the new Miss Grand United States of America, and finally got my opportunity to shine with Queen Beauty USA. And oh my gosh, it's been such an amazing experience. Like, I continued competing in pageants because I know how many doors they open. I want to, at the end of the day, have a job in entertainment, whether it's acting, modeling, anything like that. And I know pageants are the great way to open those doors. So I'm excited that I got to be a part of this fresh organization, Queen Beauty USA, where their whole shtick is bringing beauty back to pageants and
Right.
removing all of the politics. And it's so amazing because after all the years that I've competed and after competing in my last Miss USA organization pageant, I sobbed because I really thought that that was the door I was supposed to take. And
Right.
when that door shut, a door with a freaking Mercedes opened right behind me, and I was like, "Yep, that's the way to go."
Wait, wait, wait. A Mercedes?
Yes. So the prize package for this pageant, this is our first year that they've actually had a USA
Right,
competition.
right. Because Bella was assigned last year, so Bella's here. So, oh
Mhm.
my God. Okay, wait. A Mercedes?
Okay, and it's not just a Mercedes. So this prize package has been absolutely insane. Like I got to show here, I'm grabbing this because it's right here and we were just talking about it. But custom couture earrings that just arrived to me today. I've got all kinds of spa stuff coming in from the Sugar Shack. I get to go to a 1 week training course, personal training course at the Grand Cayman Academy. Oh yeah, a week
Can
long
I
trip to the
become your
Cayman Islands.
personal assistant and just travel with you, Tom? Tom,
I
if you're
might,
watching, please
but
let
then
me go with her.
right. So, and then I have a 2019 Mercedes C class coming that's being shipped over to me. I get to go walk in London Fashion Week and I get to be on the cover of Supermodels Unlimited. Like these are the doors that I literally prayed for that I didn't know
Wow.
were going to be open for me.
That is okay, dude. Now I had no idea that it was that that's a pretty and I've got to be honest. Like I know Miss USA has an amazing prize package, but certainly none of the state titles that you would have been competing for would have been anything like this. Like
Right.
that is phenomenal.
Well, and on top of that, like just going through the national competition, we got to walk with New York Fashion Week and they were like recruiting and, you know, get recruiting us for fashion shows for actual New York Fashion Week.
Right.
Like just being there put you on such a huge pedestal that like, yeah, now I can check off that I've walked in New York Fashion Week on purpose this time.
I know. For me, I'm 53, and the first time that I walked was in September. So like I just
Oh my gosh,
I know,
congratulations.
but it wouldn't have happened if it hadn't been for Renee. So it was the same stage essentially, just at different
Mhm.
times. But
Right.
and again, like the opportunities that you don't even think about. I mean, I would never have even thought. I was just like, okay, this is great. I just want to do it for fun. But I came home from New York Fashion Week and then I got cast for my first commercial, which hits tomorrow. Like it goes live tomorrow. I
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
I know. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. And then I got a position with the American Heart Association as an ambassador. So I mean, that's another thing that tomorrow is a big TV day. I'm like, okay, great. My life has changed so dramatically just from those opportunities. I can't even imagine what it's going to be like for you because you get to be the face of the United States for this organization and then you'll go on to Queen Beauty Universe. So, which will
Yeah.
be so cool.
I know, I'm so excited. They're already like sending like ideas for evening gowns and what they're planning on doing with the whole I'm like, "Oh my god, my
Is the white
like
one or the purple
spin
one? Is he really going to do one of those or no?
I don't know. And I don't think they're going to tell me because I am terrible at keeping secrets, so I'll probably be like the last one to find out. It's fine.
I know, I am too. And I always feel bad when I ask people what like because I want to know what some of the girls are wearing. I don't really care about the designer, which I should. I should be more cognizant of that. But I mean, I know that the part of the fun for this is that magical moment when you know you found the right dress and you
Mhm.
feel like a princess. It's still that Cinderella moment. I don't think it ever goes away. Tina says we love Stormy. We've cheered her on for the last two times that you competed in Nevada. Congratulations, Stormy. So,
Oh, thank you, Tina.
oh, that's so sweet. And guys, thank you so much. Kenzie, who's one of our longtime followers, she's my co-pilot when I do the shows. She'll put things up periodically, so you'll see it. But Kenzie also is like the hardest question asker, so I just warn you ahead of time. She has a notebook that
Perfect. Can't wait.
no, because I mean, it's great practice, but oh my gosh. So, anyways,
Yeah.
so
My
Kenzie's in the
gloves are
house.
only sweating a little bit.
And there's plenty of people like coming into the show. I see you guys all popping in. So if you're here and you've got questions for Stormy, again, please make sure you keep them PG-13, but ask the questions. If you've got comments, I will put them up again. So please, this is an interactive event. So Joel says, "Hi, Stormy. I'm so excited for you. Hearts. What's your favorite thing about being part of the Queen Beauty system?"
Oh my gosh, it's the familyhood behind it. Like these guys have all been in business together for I couldn't tell you how long, but I literally wake up every morning with a text from my team, like my support group, like either Joel, James, or Tom, and it's like, "Good morning, beautiful." Like, I hope you just remember how special you are. And like just every day they're opening up new opportunities. Like um getting to be able to get out and talk about my bout with domestic violence and
Right.
how I was over to overcome that obstacle and find the strength to actually do something like Queen Beauty again, because for a long time I really didn't want to be seen. And they're opening up opportunities that maybe some other organizations would shy away from and try to manipulate my story and say like, "Oh, maybe don't talk about that like that." And they're like, "Nope, get out there, say what you need to say, make your piece. You have 1 year to make the most out of this title." And I'm like, "Yes, let's do it."
And I love that. And then that was one of the things, like, even with when I had messaged Tom, who is an amazing individual. Like, when he heard I was having surgery, he was so concerned, kept sending me messages, "Are you okay? Is everything all right?" And I thought, what kind of a director goes out of their way to be able to check on somebody? Like, I think that's amazing and heartfelt. And so when I spoke to
Yeah.
him, when we finally got everything arranged, he was like, and he says, "Everything's good with Stormy," and I said, "Everything's great. Stormy and I have already spoken." But I said, "Is there anything you want me to shy away from?" He goes, "I want her story to be heard." He says, "Her story is relevant. It's important. It is something that needs to be told." John says, "Love Stormy. She's our queen beauty. Enjoy your year. Love you."
Oh.
Aw.
Oh,
Oh,
I love
see,
John.
this
Thank
is such
you.
love. Okay. And then Israel Silva says, "On behalf of the Grand USA family, congratulations. We're excited for you and look forward to your journey." Wow, look at this. This is like, so, look at, I
Oh.
mean, that's the kind of love you want.
Yeah, that's so special, and thank you, Israel.
Thank you so much, guys. I mean, this is what positivity and pageantry is really about: is supporting people, being there, and you really do. Okay, so first, before we get into some of the dark and dirty, because it is dark and dirty, and it's not your
Yeah.
dark and dirty. I mean, it is your story, but it's your platform. It's what you speak about. But before we do that, let's talk about the areas of competition for anybody that might be interested in Queen Beauty, so they know, how'd you get this crown. So,
Yeah, so it was really amazing. Again, I came in kind of on the later side, like 3 weeks before the pageant. I was like, "Yes, let's do it." And a lot of the girls had held their title for like a year and a half, so I was like, "Okay, great. I'm gonna be the new girl, and like everybody's gonna be so mean." First things first, they were like, they let me know, like, "We don't tolerate catty girl behavior." So the second that I got joined into the group chat, everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, welcome, Stormy." And like any questions that I had, somebody always like jumped on top of it. But the areas of competition um, are done in, so you have a state costume, which you come out and do your first personal introduction in it. You model a swimsuit from our sponsor and an evening gown that was provided from That's My Dress. So kind of an interesting thing right off the bat, but again, it's a pageant for models that like you really don't have an opportunity to like bond with your clothing for
right.
preliminaries. So, but that's amazing because like the judges are there all the time. They're in rehearsals, they're in like the hair and makeup space. They're like constantly walking around and involved in the process. So, you're competing for the opportunity to become a model. It's important that they know like how you handle yourself at a fashion show when you're given a dress that maybe you don't necessarily like or doesn't necessarily fit, and like how do you handle that?
Right.
So I thought that was really interesting. Then going into final competition, they narrowed it down to a top 15. We all got a like 15-second window to just talk about something that was personal to us, maybe, something that we didn't get to mention in interview, but give a little fun 15-second spiel. Then we competed in swimsuit, which again was provided, and then we got to come out in our own evening gowns. So that was a lot of fun. And then once the on stage aspects are completed, then we get to do our final thought, which we were given the subject. You have 30 seconds to say why this title is so important to you. So I don't know if you got an opportunity to watch, but of course it was, to spread my message that throughout the year, I want to remind people I was a victim of domestic violence and I've had to undergo a lot of obstacles and negativity in my life. And it was up to me, and I had to make the choice that I'm ready to stand up and face it. And when I felt so alone, I wish I had a role model like myself that said, like, look, this was terribly devastating.
Right.
But here we are. We're going to move on. We're going to keep working.
Well, and honestly, let's just go back a little bit because when we met at NAM, you were going through it at that point,
Hmm.
and it was very deep at that point. And I am the victim of domestic violence as well. I've spoken about my situation with my father, but what I haven't spoken about is that I had a boyfriend at the time, um, that was equally as abusive as my father. So I've never spoken about that on camera before. I don't.
Wait, this is your first time speaking about it?
Yeah, the first time ever.
I'm so proud of you. It's hard once you get it out the first time, but I'm proud of you. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, not at all. I mean, and I know he watches, so that's the thing. Like, it's saying that I was the victim of domestic violence from my father, um, which is the reason I got into pageantry to begin with. My father hit me, and I had to have reconstructive surgery to put my face back together. And that my mom put me into pageant 3 months after I had the plastic surgery, to raise my self esteem. So that's really where my journey. Oh, I'm gonna get uh, came from pageantry. What I didn't speak about, and I haven't spoken about till right now, is just that I was dating someone who was uh, physically, emotionally abusive at the same time. So it was double header for me. And I literally was in my head thinking that this is my fault. It has to be my fault. This has to be something I am doing wrong because these two people that I love so much are both doing this to me. Um, and I stayed with him. Uh, well, let's talk about yours, and then I'll talk about mine too a little bit because I knew I could feel when we were at NAM that there was something going on with you, and I knew something wasn't right. So let's talk a little bit about that experience, and we might cry. I mean, I'm going to warn people there may be tears tonight, so and
Oh,
it's
girl,
okay.
I brought rolls of toilet
I
paper because
have
I was
them
like, I
here
have a
too
feeling.
because I there is a really good possibility there will be tears tonight. So I'm just warning people. This might get heavier than we normally have, just so everybody understands. But I really feel that this is an issue that needs to be spoken about. So, all right. So talk about what was going on with you in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, you said it best. Like, I literally met you like right in the calm before the storm. Like, we met at NAM like maybe a month after I had won my title, and literally the day after I won my title, I met this guy who was a professional soccer player, and I thought he was so amazing. And it was really a whirlwind romance. Like, we fell in love almost immediately. Um, but to how great he was just as awful. And I don't mean to like judge his character, and if he has made changes, I always hope he does, but you know, he's not doing. But when I met you at NAM, we had only had like a couple fights, like just arguments that probably got a little bit out of hand, like one of us storming out, whatever. Um, but right after NAM, I immediately went from NAM on a trip with him. And that's when things really got bad. Like, we were in a hotel, like, we went out with some friends, we came back to the hotel, and he literally, the second we walked into the hotel, started attacking me, like pinning me down to the bed,
Wow.
hitting me with the bedside phone, choking me out. And the only thing that would calm him down was when he raped me. So, and like literally, it was as bad as I could have ever possibly imagined it. That, he literally took my credit cards, all my cash, took my phone, broke it into three pieces, literally trapped me in the hotel room so I could not leave without him. And it just got worse from there. So when we got home from Seattle, I left all of my stuff that I had brought with me from NAM. And like you saw, I had two huge suitcases
Right.
full of evening gowns, like had my Miss Washington USA crown and banner, everything. And I just dumped it. Like, of course, the morning after the first attack, he was like, I'm so sorry. I was just drunk. And, I'm really sorry that happened. It'll never happen again. He replaced my phone. He replaced all of my belongings. And I was like, okay, like, yeah, that was a one time thing. So we get home and I stayed with him. Didn't say anything. I texted my best friend once. Like right when I got my phone turned back on, I'm like, "Look, dude, if things go sideways, I want you to know what's happening." And so we got home and everything was quiet and okay for about a week or two. And then another incident, the notorious knife incident happened. And I knew in that moment, like, if I didn't get out, I was literally going to die. And everybody wants to imagine me as like this psychopath running around with a knife, just like completely unhinged. And that's just not who I am. And the truth of the matter was, I wasn't the one with the knife. He was the one that was rubbing the knife on my cheeks. And, it was threatening me and using my dreams of being Miss USA and going for that, using it against me that like I could never do anything because I would lose my title. And what kind of beauty queen would I be with knife marks on my face, like the Joker? And it was just the most traumatic thing. And honestly, after all of that, I wanted to bottle it all up, stick it back here, never speak about it again, and then like unpackage that tumor when it's ready to be removed and just be done with it. And finally, I found the strength to be in talking about a year or so later. And a woman private messaged me on Instagram, and like in that little teaser bubble, it's like, "Hey, I want to know what happened that night." And I was like, "Oh God, just gonna leave that one as unread for a while." Finally, I got the courage to open it, and she came to me and she said, "Hey, I want to know what happened that night because your assailant also endangered my life, and I'm going to press charges." And in that moment, my heart just sunk because by not wanting to talk about it and not wanting to expose myself and risk losing my crown over being a victim of domestic
Right.
violence, I truly wish that nobody has to endure the same suffering that I did. And I literally just let it happen by choosing not to talk about it. So that's my whole goal and standpoint. And being put on this platform and put on this pedestal that, everybody sees pageant girls as so like clean cut and cookie cutter. And, I want to make the world a better place. And we do. But a lot of us have really had to face hardship. And, when you see something so beautiful that seems so perfect, it's important to know what kind of struggle they've been through to become this strong, resilient person that they have.
Agreed. And I have to say I'm so proud of you for speaking up because it, it's so easy in pageantry to kind of take the happy-go-lucky, oh yes, this is, I'm doing this for kittens, I'm doing, I mean, whatever the fluff is, and
Right.
which is okay. And we want fluff and positivity, which I agree, we want that.
Yeah.
But when you've got such a deep and personal story that is so significant, you really want to have people that are strong enough to stand up and go, this is what's happening. And just to say, Joel says, Stacy, I'm so proud of you. Thank you for your strength and sharing your story publicly for the first time. You're both strong and incredible and sending lots of love. Kenzie says sometimes tears are needed to get through things, so she expects there will be tears. And I know Kenz needs to hear some of this stuff, so I think it's important she hears it. Cindel's here. She says she loves this message as a domestic violence survivor. It's so important to speak up. John also says, Stormy, you're a true inspiration. My heart goes out to you. You're so strong and we love you. So
Oh,
I think, and that's so sweet. And I think that's the other thing too, with speaking out and taking these opportunities to really go into a darker place, and really go to a place that's really uncomfortable for us, I think, as title holders. Uh,
hmm
it opens up light to people that really need to hear that story. So I think that it's so I think it's so powerful. And I know that for you, like this whole thing blew up really badly,
Oh,
because
yeah.
I know, like I know when it blew up that you disappeared, and it hurt me. It hurt me because I was like, I you had this spirit and this brightness at NAM that I was so confused by. and not confused by you, but confused by what happened afterwards. Because you literally, it blew up and then you were gone.
Oh, Stacy, I for like a month, I quit my job. I moved back home with my mom. I didn't leave the house. I literally, if I was out in public and somebody looked at me for more than 10 seconds, I'm like, they think I'm a lunatic. They think I'm entirely crazy because they're like, the media. And I know it went national news and international in some countries, but really going through and like literally every day on the news, like having to come home and see my face. And I was like, oh my God, I just want to disappear. I just want nobody to ever look at me again. And I think that's like really when I was at my all-time low, because rather than like facing into it and deciding, hey, I'm going to make a difference, it was just too like I was already standing on an amazing platform, but I just didn't have the strength of that time to make it happen.
Well, and I know like when we met, like you were so real, you were very much into um equal opportunity for women being able to find an equal ground in sports. At
Mhm.
that point, you were playing football. Like I know that all of that was all, and it seemed like such a dichotomy to me too. Is that here's this pageant queen who's also, I mean, it was part of the lingerie football league, but still,
Yeah.
you were playing football. Like there was no way to get away from that. Like that, it's a really playing. So
Yeah.
and and I don't know if you've seen the Surface commercial with Katie Sauer in it from the 49ers and her little story about how
Yeah.
she wanted to be part of real football.
Oh my God, I sobbed.
I did too, and I thought of you.
Oh.
I saw that commercial and I thought of you because I remember how adamantly you said I'm going to play professional football.
Mhm.
And I thought, and I remember telling Mike, I was like, she's a beauty queen that's going to play football. Like, how is that going to happen? Um, and then unfortunately things just went sideways. So,
Yeah.
um, I don't know if you want to talk about what happened when all of this happened with your title or not. It's really up to you. Um,
I mean, I'm happy. I don't get away with hiding anything.
I mean, well, it's
So
there's social media. There's no way to get away from hiding anything.
I literally do not get away with anything. So like let's just lay it all out there.
Okay, so
uh, so I competed for Miss Washington USA for 2 years and finally won on my third year. And I held the title for 3 months, and then of course like life just happened. Like I made the mistake of not fully reading the contract, and when it said, have you ever committed a felony? No, I've committed a misdemeanor. I had a DUI. Just failed to disclose it. It came back to bite me, of course, because I don't get away with anything. And like literally right when that came to media, like right when the media got an anonymous tip that I had an undisclosed DUI, of course, it all came up that I had just gotten out of that relationship. It was still an open investigation with the soccer player, and it was such a low point that I really didn't feel strong enough. Like that, all those fears that I had when I was getting out of that relationship and like why I had kept silent were like literally
all the
all
things
coming.
he was using against you. He was using
Yeah,
that as a way to manipulate you. So,
yeah, he was telling me like I would be an unfit role model, an unfit beauty queen, like all this stuff. But they would pull my title if I had ever spoken out against about any of this. And so of course I had a great relationship with my directors, David and Maureen at Miss Washington USA, and they were there literally at ground zero, like the night before, because we got an anonymous phone call that like, hey, they're going to be talking about this on news tomorrow. So they came over the night before and they were like, we sat down and we just like all looked at each other in silence and they said, well, we found a loophole. And my options were I can either try to ride out the media storm, and when all of the domestic violence, and because I wasn't sharing my aspect of it, I didn't want to open that door.
right.
the media made me out to be like some knife wielding psychopath. My options were I could try to write it out and keep my title and wait for MUO to strip me of it just because they feel fit to, or I can resign and have the opportunity to come back and compete for my title again.
Right.
So, of course, I didn't want to put them through any more of the heartache or the anxiety that I was feeling. And I thought maybe just getting rid of it and giving it up would take away some of that negativity. It did not. um, I think having the resignation on top of it really added to the firestorm that like, okay, now she's going to jail, or and like all kinds of crazy articles were published that like, oh, she's in jail awaiting prosecution and all that stuff. Like, okay, like calm down. Let's not sensationalize this.
I think I actually texted you like after, like in the midst of it, because I was like, what is this craziness that's going on?
Madness.
Because it was like I remember even telling Mike, I'm like, why are they doing this to her?
And I think it was just like the perfect timing because like literally the DUI news surfaced like maybe 2 weeks after I had gotten out of the relationship. So the investigation was still open. And I think by Seattle PD releasing that information to the media and kind of like heaping it on, they thought I would like immediately crack under pressure. And, and looking back at it, I kind of wish I would have, but
We've got a lot of Terry Lee Sharp says, as a mom, I am so grateful to Stormy to be such a great example of a resilient spirit, as an example of how we can choose our direction and focus on life. The experiences of what happened to us are not what defines us.
oh, I
I,
love Terry.
and then Sindel was Mrs. Pennsylvania. Well, she's actually the reigning Mrs. Germany.
Oh,
So she says, I can relate to this so much. So I know that what she has gone through in her relationship. She and I are friends as well. Um, Met from pageants. Shocking, shocking. And I know how immobilizing being in an abusive relationship can be. So, um, when I was in mine, I told you this just a little while ago, but I dated him for 5 years uh, at the age of 16. So, right before everything happened dad, with my dad punching me, he actually took me out one night, um, drugged my drink. I didn't know it. I had pop. I didn't know that it was drugged. Um, and I woke up with his friends taking advantage of me. And then he proceeded to tell me that it was my fault, that and I believed it, because and then it was like, oh, I'm going to tell your family. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to blow up your life. Um, when I competed at Florida Teen USA, I told him, you cannot come. Men are not allowed to be, at on the in the rooms in the hotel. You're not allowed to be. He snuck up pretending to be a delivery person so he could see me, because he wanted to prove that I was really there. Like everything that I did in pageantry, he tried to undermine over and over and over and over again, because it was a control issue. And
mm,
it wasn't until and I don't even know why, I moved out of the house at 18, moved in with him, and 3 months later, he had a 45 to my head. Just like you were describing your situation with him rubbing the knife around, saying what would happen if I just did this, and he pulled the trigger. Um, thank God. I don't know if it just misfired. I don't know if it was loaded or not. I just know that I heard the click and I was like, that's it. It's the end of my life. This is it. And then I ran out of the house. I left everything I had. I jumped into my car. He jumped onto the front of my car to try to keep me from driving away. And I was the bad person. And then to make it even, you know, and of course, that was it. I was done. It was over. And he kept sending me letters. Come on, let's just get back together. It wasn't really me. 5 years later, I ran into him and he says, I'm a different person. I went in, you know, I went into rehab. I'm not that person anymore. So the dumb person that I am got back together with him again. And within a couple of months, I mean, it was less than a year, he was throwing me against the wall, taking advantage of me. He seduced my best friend and brought her home, and it was just craziness, craziness. And I will never forget the moment that he put me up against the wall. He had his neck up against my throat, and I picked him up and threw him over my shoulder onto a glass table. Now, he had to get some stitches, but when I called the police said, Is he on the lease? I'm like, No, he doesn't live here. They're like, No problem. We're taking him because he was like, press charges. We want her arrested. She knows she's got all of this stuff and blah, 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 blah. And that was it. Flash forward to 10 years ago. He called me. He found me on the internet. And I, like a dumb person, went back to. I mean, I wasn't going to get back together with him or anything, but he watches what I do. He knows where I am. I know he still does because he's now with my best friend at the time and they're married. I know he watches the stuff I do. So I went to meet with him and he said, I just, you know, he kind of looked at me and he goes, Oh, you've done all these amazing things. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud that you didn't let any of that define you. And I looked at him and I'm like, You're a jerk. You tried to destroy my whole life. I said, What you did was take my innocence away from me, and I am never going to get that back. And he just looked at me and he goes, I can't believe you can't get over this. Just move on. And I'm like, I
Not
did.
today, Satan.
I'm like, you're the one that came looking for me. And no, that is not. And I looked at him and I stood up and I'm like, I am a better person than you. And I don't want anything ill to happen to you. Congratulations on anything you achieve, but I'm done. Please do not ever contact me again.
Good for you.
But I'm a soccer player too.
Yeah.
Mm, mm.
I mean, I don't want to say like all men are trash or like all soccer players are trash, but like, I mean,
I mean, and I know it's not about my story, this is about your story, but I think it's important that
no,
it needs to be heard.
yeah. And I mean, we were talking earlier and where you can see that like spark in my eye being hidden behind something when I was at NAM, you sat down when you weren't talking about this to anybody and you sat down and you shared your story of abuse with me. And I didn't realize it at the time because I was still young and naive and going through this. And I was like, that was a very personal story that she shared with me. And like literally to this day, that story still bounces around in my head. And the fact that you were able to put that out there and you were a role model for me,
I love
that you
you.
came, you, you wanted to like extend that olive branch to somebody that you barely knew, that you could just see needing help. And now it's funny because I do the same thing. Like when I hear people going through, the early stages or like, oh, it's kind of a bad relationship, but like it has its like it's more
It's like,
good than
no,
bad.
no, it's not.
No,
If
no,
you, and I want people to understand, if you think it's going to get better, it's
it
not.
doesn't. It doesn't.
These people are
Um,
predators and they know how to set you up and
and manipulate and, make powerful, strong women like us. And, my assailant has now battered two other women while he was going through a lawsuit with the woman that reached out to me.
oh,
And
wow.
yeah, he was just this year sentenced to 5 years for domestic violence and down in Guatemala. So now we're at the point where,
Wow.
and all these women, all the women that like have come after me, they've all been strong, powerful, gorgeous women. And I think I've really fell victim to the ideology that, being a victim means like I'm some cowering, poor little defenseless thing in the corner. And that's not who I am. And I think
No,
putting
you
that
are
mask
so
on,
not.
right. And I think putting that mask on and saying, like, I'm a victim was really probably one of the most difficult things for me because what I envisioned as a victim was not who I was. And I think that's the important part, is coming to terms with what the actual definition of victim is and being able to move forward with it and understand, like, being a victim doesn't mean that's who being a victim doesn't define you. It symbolizes something that you've been through
Right.
and that nobody else should have to endure.
Well, and I think that, you know, Sindel, by the way, says you ladies are beautiful, and I'm proud of you both. It's something that you never forgot. It's really not. I think it's always bubbling about in the back of my head, and it wasn't until I chose poorly several times. I've been married 4 times. Mike is my fourth husband. Um, and there are moments where I feel so bad for him because Mike is like a genuine, like, salt of the earth, an amazing man. And
Yeah.
there are moments where he'll go to touch my head and I freak and I pull back and I'm like, this man loves me so much. And I know he would never lift a hand to hurt me. And I see it in his face. I see him kind of like crumple and I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe that that these two men took my ability to trust a man who would do anything for me. um and I chose abusive relationships after that too, because I didn't have a really good idea of what love was, and I thought it
Mhm.
was all provisional. Love is based on what you can offer to somebody.
Right.
um and I feel bad because, like, I know that, and you will probably find this. I mean, I know you're engaged now, so let's talk about
Yeah.
new relationships and new life and finding love, and because that's going to be a challenge as well. I know that I don't know if are you experiencing that now, where you still are a little shell shocked.
I do get it every now and then, like, I so bond with you on a spiritual level because there are things like my fiance will go to brush my hair behind my ear and I'm like, "What are you doing?"
Right.
And then there are other times when he like will be rubbing my shoulder, have his arm around me. I'm like, "Stop, you're suffocating me." I feel like and I was never claustrophobic. I never had that issue before, but I'm like, I just need 5 minutes where you don't touch me. Like, I just need some alone time. And like, you, to your exact same point, I know he loves me. He would do anything. He is there to carry my emotional baggage for me. Like, he's opened up and like been the most, like, I didn't know what love could be this easy. Like, he's the most amazing human being. But yeah, I still have all this terrible emotional baggage, but you know, to to be on the bright side, yes, I'm engaged and wedding plans have been halted now that I'm the new Queen Beauty USA. He was actually the one that really pushed me into my last year with pageantry, and he's been nothing but supportive, dieting with me and doing the whole nine.
Sindel asks a question. She says, how did you figure out how to move from a system that you really wanted to compete in, which was your former system, to choose Queen Beauty USA?
So I switched over because actually Tom, my first year that I competed for Nevada USA, Tom was on the judging panel.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because exactly what you said, that there was like, he knew he could set, because at this point I still hadn't like embraced or come full circle, like, okay, this, like, domestic violence, this is what I'm here for. This is what I want to talk about. I was still like spending all of my time praying that nobody would ask me like anything relative or like ask me about my history or like really knew who I was.
Right.
And he picked at me, Stacy, on my interview. He was like, "No," like asking me questions like to keep digging.
To
And
pull
I was
it
like,
out.
"Yeah." And I just wasn't ready at that point. And he came to me after, like, actually after Washington, USA, and was like, "Hey, I've got this organization," and I had met him and Alexia last year, and just thought they were absolutely amazing people, and he kept pushing me for it. And at that point, again, it was a 27-year-old dream to compete for USA, and I just wasn't ready to give up. So he said, "Okay, do your thing with that, but if it best of luck. I fully support you. If it doesn't work out the way that you hope, we're here for you." And sure enough, I took maybe a week between the pageant, or a week after Miss Nevada USA, and I was like, I'm not done with pageants.
When I
Like,
saw you were competing, I was like, yes, because I watched Nevada. I watched Nevada because I knew you were competing. I was super excited. I don't know if you know or not, but your mom had reached out to me and she said, "Hey, do you mind helping Stormy to tell her story?" And I was like, "There have been plenty of people to tell her story. I don't." And she's like, I need someplace where she can feel safe." And I was like, "Okay, no problem." But I was like,
mhm,
and this was right before Nevada, and I was like, "What? You've got an amazing story." And at that point, I don't think I fully understood exactly why it was necessary for this to happen.
mhm,
But anyway, so when I saw you were competing for Queen Beauty, I was like, awesome. I
mhm.
love USA, and everybody knows I love USA, but I really feel Tom, they've got an amazing organization, and they really want to try to bring not just bringing beauty back, but it's not physical beauty. It's that beauty of your heart, which I think is so important. That
Well, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but that's really like their objective, because again, the judges are around you all the time. They see how you actually behave. So there's no like, "Oh, I'm going to turn it on for interview and then turn it off and I can be a catty cow behind stage or whatever." But their whole thing is like models being role models, bringing beauty back, and they're really insistent that to bring back like the integrity behind pageants. And it's not saying like I was really impressed going through my state contract that like they didn't have any spots reserved in the semifinals. Like they're not picking girls based off of their marketability.
Right.
They're really using their platform to promote you and not the other way around.
That's awesome, and that's really the way it should be. Is that this is your story, and your story leads. Your story has depth to it. I mean, clearly, by the comments I'm getting, Joel Brody says, "Stormy, first I want to say that it was as a brother of a victim of domestic violence. I'm so grateful for your platform. It's so important to start these conversations, and I'm so proud of you for sharing your story. I also want to say again, I know we've talked about this before, about how much your story of resilience and tenacity inspires me every day. As a recovering alcoholic, I think about what you told me, in quotes. It's not what we think, what we did, it's what we make of it, unquote, all the time. And I'm so grateful for you, and sending hearts.
No,
John Gary says, "Me too. I'm so happy you still competed. Was not ready for you to retire." So I mean, this is the kind of love that but this is what you should be getting. These are the types of things that I mean, I know we're not Good Morning America, but
right.
I mean, at the end of the day, my hope is that you will be on Good Morning America and be able to share this story of triumph, because it's a strong, you overcame so much and went through so much to be able to be here and to have this title, and you didn't give up, which there's so many women that do. They just feel defeated, and then they don't ever really get their self-confidence back, and they don't really they always feel like it was their fault or that they did something wrong. So I think that having a role model like you is so important. So oh,
Stacey, give me a second. My phone is dying. I'm gonna grab a charger and
oh my
plug it
goodness,
in.
okay, no problem. All right. So if anybody's got questions, if you've got questions about anything, please ask it. We do appreciate that. Sandell, I will ask your question as soon as she gets back. And I really appreciate all of you guys being here because this really is an important topic. And Stormy's a great individual and has really come forward being her true self. And I think that's really what we need to be highlighting in pageantry. I don't want a bunch of pageant patties on my show. I want people that have a real story um, that sits with people because, you know, it's not about the jewelry on your head. It's about what is in your heart that makes you a queen. Yes, a crown is awesome, but at the end of the day, it's your spirit, and that's what we want to talk about. So, Sindel
Okay,
is
I got my life back together a little
we're
bit.
good, so we don't die in the middle of it. It wouldn't be the first time, won't be the last time, I'm sure. Um, uh, so Sindel is asking good fun questions. So she says, if you could have any superpower, what would it be and why?
Oh my God, I love this question.
Do you really? Do you
I
practice
do.
this stuff? Oh my
What?
gosh. Do you practice this stuff?
No, I don't. So me and my sister, obviously, we run interview together all the time. And the second that I said this, she was like, that's the most epitome of Stormy humor I've ever heard. So my favorite hobby on the entire face of the planet is hiding behind corners and just jumping out and scaring people.
You well, you should be on Ellen. Oh my gosh, that's it. We're not even gonna do Good Morning America. We're gonna write to Ellen so that we can have Ellen, if you're watching or if any of the producers are watching, Stormy needs to be on the show. Okay, go
No,
ahead.
it's literally, it got so bad to the point where like me and my fiance, he was like, okay, this, like, we would waste time like peering around the corners and like like throwing the bed or the comforter off the bed to make sure that you're not hiding in it. And like we would like waste time hiding in the like we get so into it. It's exclusively banned until October. Like October is our scare month.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Only
yeah,
in
we have
October.
designated scare time. But if I could pick any superpower, it would be to become invisible so I could just really up my game on that.
Ooh. Have you seen the trailers for the new the new movie Invisible Man? That creeps
Yeah,
me out. Oh no, I'm like
I won't
no.
be seeing it.
No,
I will not
there is
be seeing it.
no way. There is no. I mean, I think invisibility would be really cool, but then to put it in that perspective, I was like, that does not make me comfortable. So
See, I wouldn't be using my powers for good or evil. I'd just be using it for like pure mischief.
mischief. Yeah. No, I bet someone we asked the question if you could be in a movie or a game universe, what would it be? And the answer was Harry Potter. And I was like, oh my God, that's true. Because if you're a wizard, you can do more than one superpower. So wouldn't that be cool? Like,
Right.
if you could disappear and then make things happen, and I mean, obviously not in a evil or malicious way, but
Right.
God, and I was like, that was perfect. Dang it.
See, I mean, obviously, I'm a huge like Marvel fan,
I
so
was just gonna say, I was like, so maybe would you? That's so cool, though. Let me see. Let
right?
me see.
Isn't
Let me
it cute?
see.
I'm
The
such a huge
infinity
Disney nerd.
mug.
I'm such a huge Disney nerd. I literally had an annual pass last year and I visited the park 16 times. I live in Washington. Like 16 days in
I
the park.
I was so proud that this year we did Disney World and Disneyland in the same month. Because we're
Oh,
annual
that is
pass holders for Disney World because we live like 4 hours
in.
away, but we judge Nam, so we
Yes.
so we did Disney World at the beginning of November, and then did Nam and did Disneyland. So
There you go.
I'm such a geek. So but you drove from Washington or you flew?
Flew. So
Oh,
the nice
good.
thing is,
Okay.
like, the travel time from Washington to, or from SeaTac to LAX is only like 2 hours and 20 minutes. So, like, I would literally like bust my sister out of bed, like, tickets went down to, like, airline tickets went down to $90. Get up. It's 3 in the morning. We can make it to park by gate open. Like, let's go.
I do that with my sister-in-law with driving. She'll be like, "What are we doing?" I would just get in the car.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And my foster brother's the same way. Like he's a total Disney nerd. So like I can relate. If I could live there, and it's not, and I don't want to work there. I want to just be there. It makes me
Hmm.
happy.
I just go to eat, honestly. Like I have like my, and it's so funny because somebody was like, "Oh, what are the good places to eat?" And I literally have like a two screen length of phone, like two phone screen lengths
Uh
of
huh.
food between like Disneyland and California Adventure. And I'm like, okay, here's how you get to it. Here's what you need to ask for. Like, this is my food. And I just like copy and paste it and send it to everybody.
John says he lives in Florida and loves Disney. Still a big kick. I am too. Like, I don't have children. I can't imagine having a kid and going to Disney World. I'd be like, why? Because, like, then I can't do what I want. I ride. So, Guardians of the Galaxy, Tower of Terror is my favorite ride. So,
Yeah.
when we got to do Guardians, I was like, and and I'm lucky, and I mean, I hate saying this is horrible to say, but I love the fact that I have a disability pass because then I can get off and get back on and get off and get back. So if I could just do that the entire time, I would. Like, I love Guardians to the point where I know when Rocket's gonna make his thing. And we took my sister-in-law has never been to Disneyland. She finally went this year, and I was like, "Hey, Rocket, you've got to take you forgot something." And she looked at me, she goes,
Mhm.
"What the hell are you?" And
I
Mike just
know.
cracked up because he's like, Stacy, not everybody does that. I'm like, they should. You know what I'm talking about, right?
No, I absolutely. So my thing is on the Haunted Mansion when we're going, the elevator ride down. I
Mm-hmm.
grab like right when the lightning strikes, I grab the person next to me and scare. I don't care who it is, if they're with me or not, or if I've waited in line with them, but I'll grab them by the arm and like just scream. And they like, it doesn't matter if it's like a big giant dude or like a little kid, they scream.
The
And nothing makes me happier.
the first time that we went to Disneyland was the first time when you and I met. The first time I judged
Yeah.
Nam, and in Disney World, the Haunted Mansion is not an elevator. But because I was in my wheelchair, they backgated me to it, and the guy, I, I mentioned Nia Sanchez at the front gate, and apparently everybody just thought that I must be Nia's friend. And I'm like, no, I just met her. But I mean, I know she used to work here. So,
Right.
but so they let me go backstage, and they took me into the elevator and like did it lit up so you could see it going up and down. And I was like, my whole brain is just going.
You're like out your ears.
Yeah, I mean, I've done backstage before because I've been I've, I've been a guest speaker for the Disney Marathon, but I never, yeah, that was legit the coolest.
That's amazing.
That was legit. Like, there is nothing cooler than your name being on every banner, every publication. My name, there's a huge poster, me standing next to it with my name on the. I just was like, that was hashtag goals. Like, now it's just being on Ellen. That's the only other. I,
You got your wish list still.
I do. Because it's important to have that. I mean, if you don't have a wish list, then there's always new things you can add. Joel asks another fun question. What's your favorite restaurant in Seattle? I'll be there, and if I'll be there a few more weeks, gotta find some spots to hit before we leave. Okay, first of all, Mike's bucket list is to go to Seattle, so I have got to go.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Come up during the summertime because see everybody thinks it's like super rainy. Seattle has the most beautiful summers because we've had the rain so long to sustain us. So they're like evergreen trees. The grass is always green. Like there's water everywhere. It's beautiful. And on top of that, Seattle's such like a cultural hub that like if you come in July, there's a month-long party called Seafair where they have like just boats lining the entire Lake Washington. They've got Blue Angels flying overhead. There's a festival literally in every town, like whether it's food or music, there's literally every town has their own festival. It's so much fun.
Oh my God! See, like I keep hoping, I keep praying. I'm gonna put this out there. So if I know that you will be at the Global Beauty Awards, but I am dying for us to be nominated for content. Because I really just want to go to be able to. I mean, I want an excuse to go to Seattle, but we are going. I mean, because we've gone through my list, and now Mike. Cause for those who don't know, Mike and I in 2012, when Mike and I got engaged on Valentine's Day 2012, uh, and I had heart surgery in the morning, so he proposed post op. I don't remember him proposing, but
I was gonna.
I do not remember a thing. I do not remember. My brother says I said yes. I don't know that I said yes. I don't. I, and anyways, but I.
Blink,
But
blink twice if you're being held captive.
by his heart. But that was the big joke. Is I told everybody that my broken heart was fixed on Valentine's Day. But the doctors
Oh,
afterwards said, "Listen, your chance of surviving without a transplant are minimal. We really need to. You need to probably start looking at final options. You're probably not going to make it." And I was like, okay, this is. So Mike and I sat down and we said, okay, if we had an unlimited amount of money, what would we want to do? We do not have an unlimited amount of money, but we have done almost everything on the list that I want to do. So the only things that like really, he got to go to New York, which was New York Fashion Week. So I was like, well, we'll just mix my pageant stuff together with Mike's list now. But he
yeah.
he wants to go to Seattle because he was born in Everett, so he hasn't been back since he was a baby.
Oh my God.
And then the other thing is to go to London and then take the Channel through Paris. So, and then my last one is just be on the Ellen Show. So I do want a book. I want a book. That I do want a book deal. So that's, I don't know. What's your bucket list? What do you want to do?
Oh, it's so funny. Actually, my director was like, write me your wildest dreams and we're going to figure them out this year. So, I mean, literally, by the like, all of my wildest dreams, I had like 2 pages. So let's see what I can remember off the top of my head. I want to be a Victoria's Secret angel. I want to be a superhero in the Marvel universe. I want to travel to every international Disney.
Yes, okay, that is on my list too. Yes, because it was
Yeah.
just to go to Disneyland, then I got that. So like now I just now I want to go to all of them.
Now we have like Hong Kong, Tokyo, Shanghai, Paris, and whatever else they're going to open up in our lifetime. But yeah, we're talking about, me and my fiance are talking about going to Disneyland Paris this year because
Oh, see, I really
I
want
love
to go.
Paris. I just love it so much.
I've never been out of the country.
What?
I mean, okay, let me clarify this. I was born in Detroit, so I've been to Canada because I thought it was a state, or I didn't even think it was a state. I thought Windsor was just part of Michigan. So we went across the bridge and I was there. So I
God.
don't I know Canada is its own country. I am aware of that, but as a child, I didn't understand that I was going to another place. And I've been to the Bahamas. So again, but I got on a boat. I was in the Bahamas. I was there for like, half a day and then came back here. Um so I have been out of the United States. I just don't feel like I've traveled anywhere.
Right. I know that feeling. Like,
I want to go to Paris. That's like I would like to do that too. So
how did you feel about New York?
I loved New York.
Okay, as long as you love New York, because I feel like honestly, Seattle, New York, and Paris all kind of have that same vibe, which is why I think I love Paris so much.
Really?
Because like Seattle and New York are my favorite 2 cities in the country. So as long as you can get along with that, like I just want you to go in with realistic expectations.
Well, I think what was even funnier with New York was Mike spent the entire time, like Mike lives his life in a video game pretty much. So when we were in California, he plays Grand Theft Auto, so that was like his thing. He was totally going, oh, "Did you see that? Did you see that?" And I'm like, "Dude, I don't okay, whatever." When we were in New York, he was having that moment like it was everything we were doing was very he was my director has said that they've never seen him so animated ever, that he was just like, did you see that,
Just like
did you
a
see
kid
that?
in a
Yeah,
candy store.
exactly. And I was like, this is what it must be with me with pageants. I get it now. And it wasn't until like 2 weeks later that I realized that, oh wait, I'd been in New York and I walked New York Fashion Week, like it didn't even Sindel actually eh, Mike I walked I walked for oh my god, Carrie. Oh, why, Sandell? I'm losing my brain. Why? Why can't I remember Carrie's last name? Dress Hot. and Sindel was there handling everything backstage, and Sindel asked for help to get the all the dresses back to the car. Dress hats. Thank you. My brain wasn't working, Sindel. It happens sometimes. And got out to her car, and her car had been towed. So my husband, being the person that he is, went with her to the impound lot. The entire life going, I'm going to the impound lot. This is so cool. And I'm like, okay, no, because
That's that's the greatest. I'm just imagining like this lovable golden retriever. Like, I'm going to the impound lot. We're going for a ride.
but that's kind of like he's like it is like real New York, and it was like I'm like okay. Meanwhile, Cinderella is a wreck, and I'm feeling so bad for her. And Mike's like, but this is so cool, and then I got to do this, and I'm like, okay. So I am afraid of going to the places he wants to go to just because it'll be like that the whole time. But I mean, I want to. So anyway, so like, do you think like where do you see all of this going? So obviously you go on to Queen Beauty Universe, which is it going to be in Miami again or no?
So I'm pretty positive. I haven't gotten any official word, so I don't want to speak out of place and,
I know.
get myself in trouble. But yeah, they haven't announced the location, the dates, or anything yet. So as soon as that does, be sure to follow the Queen Beauty USA and Queen Beauty Universe fan chat, and um, everything will get posted there as soon as it's available.
Do you think that you want to I mean, how would you feel about becoming an ambassador for a domestic violence hotline or for some domestic violence charity? Where do you see your story going with all of this as well?
That's honestly a huge inspiration. I mean, so I first started like publicly debuting my story with domestic violence at Grand Miss Grand USA. And that was when I really got like this influx of people like reaching out. And so that's why, I'd love to become an ambassador for Safe Horizons, the Shade Tree. I'm currently working with Silence is Not Compliance, which is Caitlin Cox's nonprofit from Miss DC
Right,
America.
right, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, any coalition that I can get, I would love to use my voice and um, help impact and spread the word that, being a victim doesn't mean you're weak. You can still be a strong, powerful role model, and you can take control back of your life no matter what you've been through. I mean, anybody that I can share my story, because like literally every sob story that you could ever imagine, like I've been through it, literally every single one. And we can get more into that later. But, I want to be there for people who feel like they're not heard. I want to let everybody know that whatever they're going through, they're not alone. So I don't just want to be, focused on women's domestic violence. Obviously, that is a huge forefront to me, but I just want everybody to know that they're not alone, whether they've been bullied, whether they've suffered from eating disorders, from addiction, abuse, affliction, literally any walk of life. Like, I want them to be able to see my story and say like, no, we're gonna keep trucking on, because if she can do it, I can do it.
So one of the things I say often, so people, I tell my story in pieces because I don't think it's digestible as well. I'm convinced that my story will either become like a series of not of of books, or it's going to be a telenovela because there's no way to digest it all. But when people hear just the cancer survivor stuff, people are like, "Oh my gosh, I can't imagine going through that."
It's
And
like, but wait, there's more.
just in case you didn't, but it is it is mind blowing. Sometimes it seems surreal to me, and yet I say it often. Every person has their own cancer or their own situation that is an obstacle that they have to overcome. And it's who they are on the other side of it that defines you, not what it is that you overcome. And it isn't any less significant to you. It is what you have to get through to I think we're constantly trying to improve as people. And I think that we're given these opportunities to show our strength and to improve our ability to be human beings. And I think that if we don't take the opportunity to share it, then we lose out on the humanity of it. I
Hmm.
mean, clearly this is a big story. Like the whole, it's real right now. There's so much. There's so many women finally having the integrity and the strength to stand up and say no, it's not okay.
Right.
Um, do you ever feel any backlash, right? Or have you felt any backlash since starting to share it?
I mean, of course, there's been backlash, and still people that want to call me an unfit role model, and still think.
Why? Why would they even think that?
Well, I mean, it's not my place to judge, and it is what it is. But I know I've realized through all of this and through everything that I've been through that there's always going to be somebody trying to lead my headhunt. And that's not the reason that I do this.
Right,
I'm not here for the riots that are, coming from my head. I'm here for those quiet people in the back that are so afraid to speak up.
right.
So people can shout, and those are the ones that I'm going to hear, and that's fine. But the people that I'm actually talking to, I may never hear from. I may never know what they're going through, but that's who I'm speaking to.
It's that one person, that one person. And um, I say it, it's on my personal, I don't really have, I have my pageant Instagram, but it says a drop in the ocean still becomes a wave of change. If
Hmm.
you're that drop for somebody, if you're that opportunity for somebody to hear that story and go, you know what, I'm not taking this anymore, and stand up and walk out and get to a place of safety,
Hmm.
your story has been worth that moment. Changing one life is worth that moment of sharing that. As horrible as it is, as terrifying as it is, as scary as it is to be able to come out in public and go, you know what, life isn't perfect.
Hmm. And I mean, I told my director this, like, as much as I would never want to relive it again, I'm still thankful that I went through what I did, because all of these life experiences that I've gained have taught me something, whether it's, you know, resilience, courage, compassion. Like, these are all aspects of myself that I'm so proud to have. And so had I not gone through that, had I avoided all of it, and kept my Miss USA title and everything, I would not be the person that I am today. And I'm so much more proud of who I am now than who I was back then.
Isn't it amazing how something so awful makes you grow to the point where you become, you don't know what you're going to be until you're tested. And then when you get tested, you go, yeah, bring it.
Yeah. Oh my God. I wish God didn't think I was so tough sometimes.
Oh, yeah, no. Amen, sister. I, amen. Um, what? Okay, so let's have some fun for a little while because we don't. Should I ask you the question? Because when I met you the first time I interviewed you, I was not interviewing you as Pageantry Now. I interviewed you for another organization. Um,
Right.
uh, life changed. It threw some curveballs,
Always does.
and you know what? I'm so happy it did because this is what I wanted. I think inevitably it just took its course.
Yeah.
So the question that I ask everyone is, do you like frogs? Why or why not?
I I'm terrified of frogs. And it's the stupidest story from high school that, one of the boys was in the back pond and they were like, "Oh my God, look, I found a frog." Opened it and opened his hands, and immediately the frog jumped down my shirt.
Oh
And I'm
my
dancing
gosh.
around, like trying to get it out. Like, not just out of the blue. I was like, how, something that even TV couldn't have written. I was like, of course. So no, frogs are too friendly for me.
They got a little bit too personal for you. Got it. Oh my god, I think that's like my because the first time I asked Pia, and Pia immediately like that had an immediate reaction. She's like, "No, I was when I was a kid in the Philippines. We used to put our shoes outside of the house at night. A frog jumped into my shoe, so when I got up in the morning, I put my shoes on." And but it
Oh,
was see that, and I just was like, oh my god. And then she looked at me, she goes, Wait, why would you ask me that? And I was like, did it get a real answer? Did it get you to get, because, I mean, she's Miss Universe.
right.
So, and it was actually one of my favorite moments because it was at that moment that I realized everybody has a frog story. Now, what I didn't occur to me is that not everybody has a frog story because they're not frogs everywhere. Nor did I realize that it doesn't translate the same in different languages. So I found that out this year at Miss Universe.
Oh god.
Apparently, frogs don't say ribbit, ribbit in France. Good to know.
What do they say in France?
Go oak, go oak.
I love it.
Well, just like in Puerto Rico, they say coqui, coqui. So, like, that's the sound. But it didn't, it, I always think of ribbit. I mean, but then I interviewed somebody that lived in the middle of the United States. Like, I think it was Arizona. No, maybe it was Nevada. They don't have
Uh-huh.
frogs.
Yeah,
They
it's
got
all dry.
because there's not lots of bodies of water for the frog. So no. Anyway, all
I
right.
mean, reasonable.
So, anyways, so okay, so we do this and that,
Okay.
and then you tell me why. So, chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate. I live off of dark chocolate because it's the only thing that I can like sweet thing that I can have when I'm on my diet. So every night, like I make a peanut butter rice cake, put chocolate chips on it. That's my dessert.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I wish that was no, it's not my dessert. I have Lindor chocolates. I have the ones that are the oh yeah.
Those are my favorite.
Yeah. And
As I go psychotic, yeah. I like those.
luckily I'm very I don't eat a lot of them. I can have one or two and then that's enough, but that's my obsession. But I'll tell you another chocolate. We'll talk about it afterwards. Okay, so do you prefer interview or evening gown?
Evening gown.
Why?
I think because interview is just becoming something that I'm loving because now I'm totally open. I'm fully
Your
transparent. I have
body
no.
language is totally different too now. Like I wanted to
Yeah.
tell you. Like you can tell you're open and comfortable because so I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I want
No,
you to
thank
know that your body language is so different than when I first interviewed you and when I first spent time with you. So I love that because you can tell you're confident, but you're this isn't in. And you were never really like but it's a different so anyways, go ahead. All right.
you.
So the difference between it, why you like evening gown instead of interviews.
Yeah. Yeah. But just because like I've recently opened up about my story and become completely transparent, I think I just have a negative connotation with interview because I spent so long just like praying to the interview gods, like, please don't let me have to open up and show who I actually am. Like, let me just be on a stage and like hide everything that I've been through. So now it's a different feeling. Um, I actually at Queen Beauty USA got my favorite interview question ever. They asked me who my favorite Batman was.
Oh, did you see the new suit? Okay, sorry.
Want to take any guesses at who my favorite Batman is?
I don't know. I would. My mistake is always going Adam West because I just can't imagine Batman being any different. Like I just can't. But Michael Keaton, Sindel says.
My favorite Batman is Will Arnett, Lego Batman.
Lego Batman. I'm Batman.
And exactly what you did, the judges did too. I said Will Arnett, and they were like, "What? Who?" And Lego Batman, and they all just cracked up. They're like, did not even think in the box on this one.
I love
But
Batman too. He's my favorite. Like my favorite. Like my all time favorite superhero is Batman.
really,
Yeah. Like, which I feel bad because I'm totally a DC girl, but like Mike's a little bit of everything, but he loves Marvel, and like I would have to sit through the Marvel movies and be like, okay, it'll be done soon.
You get to enjoy the Marvel movies. Excuse you. Let me just grab my Infinity Gauntlet over
Well,
here.
I okay, so when I saw Iron Man, I was like, I'm gonna hate this. It's Robert Downey Jr. This is not gonna be fun for me. This is gonna be the worst thing ever. Which, when I was a kid, I don't know if you guys ever saw the little cartoons that was they had Iron Man, they had Captain America, they had Hulk. So I loved those cartoons, and I loved like the old Batman, the TV show
Adam West.
Adam West. So I was like, oh, and it's Robert Downey Jr. and he had this I love hate relationship with him, and so I was like, okay. And I loved Iron Man. So I do have to admit that the new Marvel is amazing. So
hmm
I love the stories. I love the theatrics of it. I love the way that they've interwoven the universes together.
hmm
I'm also a comic book chick. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm admitting this.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Are you a comic book chick too?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I like the first thing that me and my fiance invested in together was like the entire Spider-Man and Deadpool bromance series because now they've like rebound all of the comic books together. So we've got like five series of them. Yeah, I like comic books.
Yeah, no, I read the original. Like, okay, so like I have Walking Dead and all of the graphic novels that people are like, how do you know this? I'm like, because I've read them all.
Yeah.
And but we're talking like original issue of X-Men. Like I legit have always been with some type of comic book nerd always. And then I'd be
Yes.
like, oh, they're in the bathroom. Okay, I'll just read them. And then I'd be like, I'm sucked down the wormhole. So,
I feel that
mhm.
on a spiritual level.
Good. Okay. So, okay. But you know what? And people think that it's weird that, are you a gamer chick too?
I'm not.
Okay. So, I just,
That's like my one nerddom that I missed out on. That and Lord of the Rings. Those are like the two nerddoms that I could.
I read Lord of the Rings when I was like, I think I was third grade, and I was just like, no. And
It's
and
a huge life commitment to like, do I want to watch all of these again?
no. Which is, I'm sorry for anybody that watches Star Wars, but from the original three Star Wars movies were wonderful. I have slept through every one since.
Oh my gosh, even Rise of Skywalker?
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, so I won't spoil it for you, but I like sobbed the entire movie.
My guess is that I probably will be really upset about it. But when we went to Disneyland, I did not, and Disney World both, because we did the Star Wars worlds in both. I just was kind of like, okay. I
Really?
know Ray. Does that count for anything? I know Ray.
I don't know. So my fiance and I are such avid Star Wars fans that like literally the only reason that we started talking to each other was because I heard like I crashed his work and I heard him talking about Star Wars and like his theory of Rey's lineage. And I turned to him and I go, "Here's why you're wrong." And like just lit him up. And I hate like I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but the end of Rise of Skywalker, I called that like way before Last Jedi even came out.
Ooh, okay. See, because
I'm
like
a know-it-all.
I remember in '77 going to see Star Wars when it first came out, because that was everything everybody was talking about. And I walked out of it, and I was what? So '77, I was 11. Um, and I looked at my dad, and I'm like, the Force is real. And he's like, Stacy, it was a movie, and I'm like, no, the Force is legitimately real.
And it
And
is.
it is. And he goes, Stacy, that's absurd. And I'm like, no, Dad, it really is true. There is
Mhm.
light and dark energy out there, and I know it. And now, I'm 53, and I'm like, the Force is real. This is real. I mean, I know that everyone thinks that it is. They're just
I am one with the Force is with me.
I want to be Yoda when I grow up.
Oh my
I
gosh,
haven't
speaking.
even seen the new series. Everybody keeps talking about Baby Yoda, and I'm like, I've got to see it.
Oh my god, it's so good. And my favorite thing on the face of the planet. So again, like to tie back to the comic book nerd thing and the Marvel cinematic. So Taika Waititi, who was Krog in Thor Ragnarok and directed the movie,
Right, right, right.
he is the robot that you find in the first episode of The Mandalorian, and he directed the last episode.
Ooh.
Taika Waititi, and he's like one of, and like you could see because each episode has a different director of The Mandalorian, and when you get to his, like you get his like sense of humor and his wit throughout the whole thing, and it's like yes, suddenly everything makes so much more sense.
Oh, see now, Mike and I have Disney Plus, and I haven't even opened the app.
Oh,
I know.
you needed Spa Day.
Wait. I shouldn't say that. I have not. So none of the original Disney movies I've ever seen. I started watching Disney movies at Little Mermaid. So
Ah,
I sat down. I mean, and now I've seen Cinderella, and I've seen a couple of them, but I sat down to watch Sleeping Beauty because I'd never seen it, and I fell asleep.
oh my god.
And that's the only thing I've seen on Disney Plus. So
Oh, I love it.
hold
Who's your favorite Disney princess, by the way?
on, hold on a second. Sorry. Um, Technically not a Disney princess. It's Tinkerbell
Oh,
because I just feel like Tinkerbell. So
she's sad. You
sorry.
okay?
Yeah, it's this thing that it's a cough that it's after the surgery that's been happening. So I'm gonna mute myself and you tell who your Disney princess is and why.
Um, Growing up, my favorite Disney princess was Princess Jasmine because she was like super powerful, outgoing, outspoken. Really wanted to blaze her own path. And then Disney came out with Princess Anna, who is all of those things, forces her love on people, and sleeps in and eats chocolate. So I am now spiritually bonded to her.
To Anna, I like Anna.
To Anna, Princess.
I would have to say that I love Anna too. Like I mean I like Merida. I mean I guess it's the redhead thing. I don't know. But I like the empowered princesses that are able to fight for themselves and change their world. So that's why I
Mhm.
say Tinkerbell really isn't a princess, but she's always been like my spirit animal. Like I just am like she's a fairy. Like I'm totally convinced that if I go to Great Britain and I step on a ley line, I will disappear because there's a part of my brain that says I'm fairy. So, but I agree with you, Anna. Like I as a person that works with young children, I probably am gonna hate this summer because there's only so many times that I'm gonna be able to hear that song, the new song, because the old Frozen song, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna kill myself.
I just can't anymore.
There's only so much else I can take in my life. Can't you guys just love Anna? So now the new movie, for spoiler for anybody that hasn't seen the new movie is absolutely both of their stories, but very Anna strong. So if you are a
Mhm.
person that loves Anna, it's definitely strong, empowered women changing the world.
Well, and I love that she's like a princess of the people because I feel like, going through my Instagram page, people have like this very specific idea of me that like fierce model and don't realize that like I'm just a huge socially awkward goofball that like I have no other option but to like just let out my personality in bits and pieces.
But see, that was the thing I loved about you at NAM was that like I love the fact that you were had this amazing large personality and that you were essentially goofy like me. Like, cause you don't think about that. I mean, especially because you're statuesque and beautiful, but like it came out like when we were by ourselves, like doing stuff, as opposed
Mhm.
to like when we were judging, because then it was like, oh, everybody has to be on and perfect. But like the moments that we were in the judges room hanging out and just being ourselves and being goofy and doing selfies and hanging out with Shane, those were magical to me because I felt I got to see your real personality.
Mhm.
And
And
yeah,
sorry.
no, I was just gonna say, do you feel like you can be that person and be okay with that in this world of in a place that is so strongly made to be just about beauty and grace and I mean, obviously being statuesque and gorgeous and modeling. How does that dichotomy work with you?
I mean, I really have no other option because I do have so much personality that like it has to come out. It
Yes,
has to come out in some way. Like I
oh my god, I'm
literally
snorting. Okay, we're good.
I cannot contain it. And I think that's really what makes me stand out is that I've got a great sense of humor. I'm very humble and down to earth. And, I just want to share every piece of my life, like the success, the failures, the storm clouds that have like rolled in and, you know, really show my happy go lucky personality because like no matter how much I've been beaten down, like I've got to laugh at something.
You
like
gotta laugh at every. I mean, you don't have to. It would be really easy to be, and I'm sure that there's depression that you've gone through and you've had to deal with this situation.
oh
But
yeah, tapestry of depression.
but I mean, well, I mean, there's no way you hide it and you deal with it, and unfortunately, some people don't come out of it. But I love the fact that you are happy and that energy hasn't been dissuaded because it would be really easy for something as traumatic as what you've been through to really stifle that.
Right.
So,
And
and
I didn't mean to bring back all this negativity.
it's
Let's keep having
okay, but I mean, but it's part of you, and it's not. I mean, don't, girl. She's got caffeine. We're in trouble now. So, what advice do you give to someone that maybe is not able to find that happiness inside of them? Because, like, I think that that's a real tribute to you too. Is that like you still get to be a goofball. You still get. I mean, and you don't let that affect you. So, how do you tell somebody that's maybe in that dark place, hey, come out and play in the light?
so going through my whole ordeal, I was very fortunate that I had like family and loved ones. And I mean, you texted me through everything and people wishing me well. And there were days when I like did not leave. And I think really, if you're having trouble getting to that point or don't want to share your story with anybody yet, one thing that really helped me was just listening to my heart. Like I moved back home with my mom, so really being alone wasn't an option, but I was open and communicative with the people around me to let them know what I needed. Like my best friend came over one day and I was like, "Dude, I'm sorry. I just don't have the energy to like deal with this or talk about it." She's like, "That's fine. Just put on a Disney movie and I'll just sit here quietly." And that's like all she did. Like she just sat next to me on the couch. We didn't talk. She like held her hand out once and like if I wanted to hold it I could, and I
Right.
did. But it's just listening to your heart, being open and honest with the people around you because there were a lot of people that reached out and I know so many people with good intentions and like, "Hey, I'm just checking in on you," and like I feel your love and support. I cannot physically bring myself to respond to this right now. And I think it's just finding that confidence in yourself to say and like this is part of the process of coming out of an abusive relationship is finding that confidence to tell others what you need, like how you need to be loved.
Right. And that's scary. I mean, and again, I don't want to keep going back to that, but I think, I mean, here we are, we're laughing and we're laughing about Disney princesses and being goofballs, and then, but I don't think there's ever a moment where it doesn't kind of like sit in the back of your head.
Hmm.
And so I'm sorry to keep going back to it too. I mean, I guess we're both going to keep going back to it because it's real life. And the one thing about you and I that I learned quite a while ago is that neither one of us are linear, so we can bounce around in conversations. So for any of you going, wait, where did that come from?
I know, I feel like this all, like, spiraled out from this or that.
But it's okay because like our conversations are that way. Like you can go back to. Oh gosh, Kenzie's back. Kenzie's asking the hard question. Okay. Oh, Kenz, I love you. Okay. If you could, here's Kenzie's question for you. If you ever want to practice for Queen Beauty Universe, Kenzie has a notebook full of the hardest pageant questions ever asked.
God, my palms are sweating.
Oh God, the anxiety! Been on national TV, but okay, Kenzie's gonna be. Oh, your mom says she loves you. Hi, Denise.
Oh, isn't she the cutest?
She's adorable, and that's another thing I want to talk about after this too. Is that your family is a pageant family. Like
Oh,
it is a pageant legacy. So we'll talk about that in a second. Let me ask Kenzie's
yeah.
question. Denise, feel free to answer Kenzie's question if you want to too, because I know. So it says, if you could pick any word that isn't already in the dictionary to put it in the dictionary, what would it be and why?
If I could pick any word,
Any word that isn't already in the dictionary to add it to the dictionary, what would it be and why?
oh God, why are only naughty words coming to my mind? No, don't say that.
Oh God. Okay, now my brain is going, no, and they're in
See?
Spanish, which is the worst part about it.
Oh, thanks for making me feel less alone on that.
If it makes you feel any better, I asked it to somebody on on Sunday or Tuesday, and she speaks 3 languages, so she started thinking words in different languages. So
Oh,
it was actually Miss Connecticut Teen USA. She's
mhm.
Albanian, so she said all she could think of was Albanian words. It just kept, and she couldn't get out of it.
Right? I think, okay, so, and I'm not sure like how this would translate, but I was watching, have you seen Spider-Man Far From Home?
I have not.
So one thing that they mentioned when they're in Italy is that apparently Italians have this saying that, well, it just means whatever.
Oh,
It
okay.
could mean it could mean get out of my face. It could mean like that's awesome. Like it literally just is a universal word that's like whatever, like meh.
Nah.
So I think
So,
I would go with
buh.
both.
I love the fact that you just do it with a little.
It needs it. Like say it without it and tell me if it's fulfilling.
No, it's not. I'm trying. I'm even. No, but no. See, now I'm gonna
It
do.
needs it.
It's so funny. I don't know why I don't even know that because I have so many kids from all over the world that speak like in our gymnastics program. We probably have 12 different languages that. Yeah, it's cray. We've got kids from all over the world. We have one whole class that's just French kids from
That sounds like
France.
so much noise. Like,
The noise in my Joel, that's a hard one. Okay. Kenzie says that at least you're honest.
see, I have no other thing to be than honest. Like I can't get away with anything.
I love it. All right, so Joel says, "What's your go-to karaoke song?" Oh no, I feel this could be bad.
No, I told Joel. So he's just trying to like pick this one up. Um, my go-tos. Part of Your World from The Little
Of
Mermaid,
course.
of course.
That's mine too. So
What?
that's mine too.
Oh my! Of course
I
it was.
auditioned American Idol with that song.
What? Oh my gosh, I
Oh my
love
god, I don't
it.
think I've ever told anybody that.
And then I love classic rock, so I'd probably have to pick something by Journey or Queen. They're my two favorite.
Mm.
But
Don't stop
Seattle's
believing,
probably
or would you
intimidating.
do Don't Stop Believing or something?
No, something a little bit easier, like Love and Touch and Squeeze In,
Oh,
or
that's a good one.
right.
And then Queen, what would you do? Someone to love? Somebody to love?
No,
Mm.
I'm not that talented, so I'd probably.
Nah,
So
we
I'd
didn't.
probably
The
pick something that like
talent
I could
didn't come into any of this. It was just go to. So
I love it. So I'd probably choose something more along the lines of like mm, Bohemian Rhapsody where I can like recruit people and like divert the
bring the
attention.
people in. Yeah, I agree. I
Yeah.
That's a good one. I agree. Oh my gosh, Kenzie, you're killing me here, girl. Okay, so if you were to be featured in the local news, what would you most likely be on there for and why?
That seems like a loaded question.
For being
Actually,
Queen Beauty USA, thank you, Kenzie. No, what would
yeah.
it be?
I mean, actually, my Tom was preparing like my media pitch to start like that press tour kind of thing going on. And he really wants to help me rectify my Google search. So, talking like even incorporating what I've been through with, former Miss Washington USA now has this redemption and opportunity after, going like suffering so much to come out now as a national title holder for Queen Beauty USA.
I love that though. I think that and then taking it something that could have been well and really was the worst period of your life and trying to change it. I mean, I know there's been other stuff, but you know, anyways. So, mom asks, oh God, Mom, if, if you could go, if you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go and why?
Any of the international Disneylands. Like, right, we were talking earlier that Disneyland Paris is hopefully on my agenda for this year. I am so excited to go to Disneyland Tokyo because they've got another two amazing
I want to
parks
go
with
to Shanghai, but we can't now.
oh, I know, but just temporarily.
I know.
Shanghai has the biggest castle, so of course I'd love to see
That's what I
that.
was thinking.
My parents went to my whole family actually went to Shanghai Disney without me. Rude. But they brought me back ears. It was adorable. And they said it was amazing. They got to ride the Tron ride, which I know Florida is getting one hopefully in the next like year or so. They said it was so much fun. But the castle was probably like the best part of going to Disneyland Shanghai.
Oh, see, my the year that I spoke at as a guest at the Disney Marathon, I was Mrs. United States. Not not the not United States. This anyways, long story. It was a different organization then. Not what it is now. So it's a different organization. But
Got
um
it.
uh and I got all of the countries from Epcot and they all are behind actually, hold on. Oh, you can't see them all, but they're all so I still have but I put them on the back of my sash. So I got
Oh
all
my
of the countries,
god.
but like these are locked on. I don't even you can't even remove them. They cannot
Yeah.
come off. So they are always on my sash. So I have my Disney Marathon, and then the one for the United States for um Liberty Tree for. But anyways, so I had all of the countries, and then when I won Accomplished American, I went back again and got all of the countries again. So that sash has all of them on it too. Because I'm such a goofball, man. I'm like a total Disney
Oh,
nerd.
uh, feels. Feels. Like I get any chance that I have to run away to Disney, I'm there. I'm like, I don't need a map. Nobody tell me what to do. I've got all of my apps downloaded. Like I already know what I'm doing.
Thank you. Every time they hand me a map, I just look at them and go, "Dude, no, don't even waste the paper.
They're like, "Hi,
Give it to
welcome to
somebody else."
Disneyland." It's like I know more than you.
Will you come to? Will you come? Are you coming to Florida? Oh well, you obviously might be, but let's go to Disney. God, we'd have so much fun.
Yes. And I've actually been just recently talking about like, okay, yeah, we throw all of our money at Disneyland. We need to start venturing out. And I really want to go to Disney World now that they have the Pandora exhibit, now that Tron's going to be opening up here shortly. And they also, do they have or a Galaxy's Edge?
They do. In fact, they have the newest ride. So the newest ride for Star Wars one of my Stephanie, if you're watching, I love you. One of my friends is one of the managers at yeah.
Oh, so you like know people.
didn't realize how much I knew. Like, I didn't realize I knew Disney royalty. It because she and I became friends through pageants.
Of
And
course.
then I already had an annual pass, so I was like, "Hey, just she's like, I'm at work, so just meet me at the gate." So as she's walking up to the gate, all of the cast members are staring at her, and I'm like, "Who are you that the cast members are all watching you?" And then I saw her pins, and I went, "Oh, she's legacy. She's got her 30-year pin. She's like
Oh
top
my god.
1%. Like she is literally Disney cast
Like
member
living it.
royalty." And I
That's
just went, I don't think I've ever been so in awe of somebody. She
like
goes,
your highness.
that was exactly it. So we'll go hang out with Stephanie, but she can't even get into the new ride at all. Like she can't.
What?
Yeah, as a staff as a cast member, she can't get in. So it opened the first week in December, I think. So
Is it Rise of the Rebellion or the Millennium Falcon, or is it something like totally different?
Millennium Falcon we've been on. So I think it. I don't know. I'll look it up. But I know that like the queue times are like more than 2 hours. It's like it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, and
anyway,
I feel like Florida always has longer waits.
yeah, Pandora is amazing. You've never been to Pandora?
No, I haven't.
Oh my god. And for anybody that has never been, if you ever go to Disney World, you have got to make sure you've got enough time to do all four parks. But Pandora is an animal kingdom, and my
Hmm.
suggestion is to go in the morning and see Pandora in the morning, go do another park in the middle of the afternoon, and then come back and do Pandora at night because it's two totally different experiences.
Oh, that's really interesting, and I never would have thought about that. Like just
It's
going and be like, "Well, I saw it."
No, yeah, you have to go back. You have to experience it daytime and nighttime. And that's the
Mhm.
best advice I can give you because it is really cool. Ooh, good question. Who's your favorite Disney villain from Jason Smith?
Oh, Maleficent, easy, hands down.
Easy. Do you
I think like as a kid though, like I'm not talking about Angelina Jolie's Maleficent. I'm talking Maleficent circa 1959.
see? I
She
haven't seen her yet. I fell asleep. I've seen Maleficent, both of the live actions, and so I watched Sleeping Beauty to see Maleficent and I fell asleep. So I still haven't seen.
she was actually like one of my favorite Disney characters as a kid, and I'm not sure why. Like I know as a child I'm supposed to bond with the princess, but like for some odd reason, like her red nail polish, her purple eyes, like she was just so chic, and I was like, oh yeah, that's the one.
That's
And I loved
diva-ness.
her. And the fact that like she has been such an epic part of like the whole Disney production and team. Like not only was she like Eleanor Audley, the voice actress, she was Maleficent, Madame Tremaine from Cinderella, and she was Madame Leota in the Haunted Mansion. So she's like just this epic part, and like her voice just
Oh,
is Disney to me.
wow.
See, let's go into this nerd spiral
So
because
total
we'll
nerd.
be here
See,
all
this
night.
is all. But I told Mike. I looked at Mike and I said, "It's gonna be long." And he goes, "Of course it's gonna be long. It's you and Stormy. It's like be one thing if you didn't know her, but you know her." So he's like, "I'll see you in a few hours. Bye." It's really
I know. I
sweet.
don't know if you heard, but my fiance like snuck in, and usually he goes, "Hey, baby," and he saw that like the entire apartment is dark, and I've got my one spotlight on. He's like sneaks in, and I can hear him like quietly sneaking around in our room.
He can come out and say hi. It's okay. Mike's making dinner. I can smell it. Ooh, okay. So, Kenzie's got another hard question. What book has had the biggest impact on you and why?
Oh my gosh! Oh, the places you'll go by Dr.
Oh, I love that one. Oh my
Right?
gosh. Really?
Yeah, that's like my favorite book, and I mean it's so funny because I never read it as a kid. The first time I read it was my family gave it to me at my graduation party from high school, and I remember that it was so important to me that I stopped everything in the party. Well, I didn't stop anybody else, but I like quietly excused myself and I went and sat in my parents' bathtub to hide from people and just read the book from start to finish. And I just remember sobbing. And I actually pulled it out just like a couple months ago. and I read through it again and had the same reaction because it's such an uplifting and inspirational message that like you just have to keep going no matter what life throws at you. Like you just have to keep going. You have to know all that you've accomplished, all that you've learned, all that you've aspired to be is going to be tested, and you have to just keep moving because you never know what's waiting for you.
Agreed. Amen. I oh, Mackenzie's like, I want to go to Disneyland. I know. John's like, I love Disney. Is it really sad that we've gone to this whole other place? So yes, we're talking about pageants, but maybe not. Um, Joel says, I've never been to Disneyland or Disney World.
What?
He and says, I went to college in Florida, but I was a broke college student, so I never made. You're kidding. Oh my gosh, Joel, you have got to go.
Yeah. Um, that's a must. I'm gonna try to finagle, like, so I'm getting ready for Supermodels Unlimited. They're having their 20th anniversary party on March 20th or 21st, March 21st. So I fly in on the 20th. And I mean, the park is open until midnight. So I know I have a photo shoot, but if I can be out by like 10 o'clock, that's still 2 hours of magic that I can fit in.
Or just ask very nicely for an extra day of travel just in case.
Nah, I can't do that. I've
Well,
got,
because you've got you're you're doing awards at Global Beauty, which is
yeah, on March 14th
14th, right?
here in Bellevue
Right.
or here in Washington State.
Right.
And then, so then a week later, I go down to California. I'll be shooting in LA with Trey Laveau, who's one of our wonderful couture sponsors. And he's creating a dress for me for my Supermodel Unlimited cover shoot, which I'll be shooting while I'm down there. And then we have, the Supermodel Unlimited is celebrating their 20th anniversary. So I'll be walking with them, going to their party and everything. So, I mean, it's going to be a fun trip regardless. But I mean, there's always time for Disney.
But cause last year they did the party here in Miami. They're doing it in Orlando this year.
I'm not sure because I think they might still have something worked out for Miami, just maybe like a different season of
Yeah.
Fashion Week,
Yeah, because
things like that.
I know they, but I know it was about the same time because I know I hadn't won my title yet, and all the queens got to go from last year, and I went, why didn't anybody invite me? Hello, because I wasn't somebody cool then, obviously. Whatever.
It's all about notoriety and like
Who I
oh god,
know, I don't know.
relevant.
All right.
I know. I had to joke and I was like, maybe now I'll actually get to like because people have interviewed me and like wanted to hear about my story and then like it never gets published and I'm like, oh, that's because I'm irrelevant. It's fine. I'll be relevant again one day.
I don't. Whatever we're talking about clearly is just somebody just sent out a text message or sent out some type of because like our viewership just totally like blasted. So clearly, what we're talking about is
Disney.
Disney.
Disney can hear what we're saying.
They're listening. They can hear it.
They want to make sure that we're
Possibly.
not giving away.
This is not your typical. Well, I don't know. My conversations are pretty typical. Like, they're not structured because I don't. Everybody's different. Every person's different. So we've all got different things to say. So for
Mhm.
someone that didn't like interview, you're doing a great job.
I said I didn't like interview. I never said I didn't like to be the center of attention.
Oh, at least we're clarifying it now. Okay,
Yeah,
got
there
it.
we
Now I
go.
understand. Okay. Uh, what coming up is like the most exciting thing that you're looking for? Because you got a lot of really cool stuff happening. So, what do you think
Yeah.
is going to be like the coolest thing that you do so that is planned right now?
Ooh, things that I know. So I've only gotten my calendar for March so far.
Oh darn.
And I mean, I know. Well, again, I think they just like I'm terrible with secrets, so anything that they're like worried that I might say before they're ready, like it's probably best they just keep to themselves until they are ready. Let's just be honest. But honestly, there's nothing in March that I'm not excited about. Like, getting to work with I spoke with Trey Laveau, the designer, this morning, and he's like, let's get some ideas going back and forth. I've already talked to Kara, our national costume sponsor,
Right.
like we're already going back and forth and sending sketches and ideas and
No
you know
cowboy thing, please. No cowboy thing.
not doing a cowboy. I already like I've literally had this plan for years, and I probably told you when I met you at NAM what I wanted to be, and
We'll leave
I'm
it at
gonna let it
that.
be a
We'll
surprise.
leave it at that.
Yep. Um, but really, I think what I'm most immediately excited for is being a presenter at the GBAs, because now it's taking like that old life of, getting to work with people who have been a part of my family really with or Northwest Productions,
Right.
and getting to, incorporate it into my new life. And it's like a full circle effect.
And that's the thing, like I was gonna say too, like your whole family is really invested in this. So your sister won Miss Washington Teen USA.
Hmm.
I didn't know it till today that your mom actually is competes as well. So like how has all of this changed their journey or their trajectory with pageantry? Do you think that it's emboldened your entire family to speak up and be themselves?
I definitely think so. It's funny because my sister was a former or is a former Miss Washington Teen USA. She's currently Miss Washington Collegiate, and my mom is a former Miss World ambassador or Mrs. World ambassador. So we all have this like camaraderie, and they were, the first line that I had to share my story and decide who I wanted to be in interview, decide that, okay, I'm ready to take this next step. And they have been so supportive. And my sister has been so amazing because she'll text me and she'll just like send me reminders, like give me pep talks, give me the pre interview warm up call. And she's just like, hey, you're a role model. You're amazing. You're beautiful and you deserve this. And
What
just like,
sorry. Um I didn't mean to interrupt you because I was going to say it would have
no.
been really easy for her to have said, "No, I am not going to compete for Miss Washington Teen USA."
Mhm. Right.
So I think that it says worlds about David and Maureen, and
Hmm.
Pageants Northwest, that that family feeling is still there because your sister competed after everything happened. It would have been,
Yeah.
I think, would have been really easy for her to go, "Yep, nope, sorry, not going to do it."
Yeah. Well, and my sister is such a strong and confident woman that I think even seeing like the media backlash and like all the atrocities I had to read on Facebook,
Right.
like entirely deactivated my account. It would have been really easy for her to say, "Nope, not tough enough." And she she's such a little spitfire, because I think when she went into her Miss Washington Teen USA interview, they asked, "What do you plan to do with your title?" And she came out and she goes, "Stormy, I said I was going to keep it." And I was like, "Oh my God, like I couldn't believe her. Like she is so courageous." And I don't think like anybody
No one
understood
got
that like
it except for anybody that knew.
yeah, exactly. I don't think anybody got it, but she's such a little spitfire. And I think, I was actually able to draw strength from her. And, where, obviously being involved in having seen like literally ground zero of the destruction of my life, she's really been able to channel that, like, okay, so maybe a good role model is what not to do. We've seen all that. Now, what are you going to do? And she's really been like her and my mom have been this huge aspiration in my life that, to just keep moving forward, to keep finding new doors to open for myself. And they've been so incredibly supportive, and I cannot be more thankful.
That's awesome. I think that and it would be easy, I think, for people to probably go, yeah, I'm never. John says I love her. Um, Seriously, man, there is some serious love in this place, and I think it's important that you know that, and I think it's important that you hear that because I don't think that you've gotten enough recognition for what you have been able to create and what you have been able to do and the people you have been able to inspire. So that's just so important that you feel that love back as well because that makes you feel stronger and more better capable of dealing with the positivity that's coming out of something that was so negative. So Jason Smith says, "Do you know who your designer is for your gown for Queen Beauty Universe?"
I do not yet.
It's a surprise.
I know that we are working with a couple different designers throughout the year because, of course, Queen Beauty USA and Queen Beauty Universe are a heavy emphasis on model specific.
Right.
So everything they want is to kind of break that box of pageantry while not like trying to totally be ashamed or, well, not at all being ashamed of it, but really help build your portfolio. So I know I've got a couple couture designers, one of them immediately that I'm working with and getting to FaceTime with tomorrow is going to be Trey Laveau. Um, but I don't think we have anything committed yet as far as like, okay, this is who is designing, or if I'm getting a custom design gown, or if I'll just be getting to shop, or I don't know. I will keep you posted. And
Custom
when
made. Custom made.
I don't know now, so I'm now a bridal stylist, and I'm realizing, when you say custom, just because you can put all the toppings on the pizza does not mean you should.
I agree. My only custom made gown I designed. It is as plain as can possibly be, and and I love it. I love it. I mean, I would not have been able to do it without Kirsten Regalagata, who designed it. I mean, she sat down with me, but like I came in going, this is what I want. I knew what I wanted, and
Hmm.
so she drew out the sketch, and we planned it all out, and like and then at New York Fashion Week for the top model competition, I wore it. I was like, this is what I wanted. This is and I don't care that I'm not, 5'8". I'm like, this is it, and
Yeah,
it makes me feel beautiful, and it does, and sometimes that's what makes it even more beautiful is that the simplest of gowns, if you feel comfortable and it makes you feel like a princess, can be just as extraordinary as the most intricate and most expensive. So
agree.
yeah,
And I mean, for me personally, it's so funny because for the last like three pageants, I haven't picked my dress until like the week of the pageant. I'm like, man, I'll figure it out. But I invested all of my time and preparation into who I am. And that way the dress is just like a highlight. Like,
and it
I always,
shouldn't be about the dress. It should be about you.
and I always tell people that come in and dress shop and I like are freaking out over the dress. I'm like, girl, if the dress is the best thing that you have to offer, like, we're already in bigger trouble. Like,
It's so true, and and I always say, everybody's always like, "Oh, this designer is dressing that person." I'm like, and if the person doesn't feel comfortable in it, it's not going
mm-hmm.
to make a difference. And if the
Right.
dress is speaking louder than the personality that's wearing it, then only people are going to see the dress, and that's not what it should be about.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, again, I'm super excited to work with all of our sponsors,
Right.
but again, no matter who they decide is dressing me or what they let me decide or anything like that, I'm thankful for this opportunity and will be so ecstatic to highlight whoever designs my dress. And that's going to be absolutely incredible.
So cool. Joel, interesting. Um, Joel says, "Do you know what your enneagram or your Briggs or Myers Briggs type is, and if so, what is it?"
Is that English?
Yes, it is. Okay, here. I don't. You can't see it on screen. So, the enneagram, which is your personality type, or
Okay.
Myers Briggs is another personality type. So clearly, you don't know what they are, but you take a test, and your personality type will come out. But it's more than just your personality type. It'll also say, like, if you're passive, or because there's some people that have very big personalities, but they're they're more passive with it, whereas there are also people that have very quiet personalities, but they're more, outspoken, which I think
Hmm.
is really kind of weird because they all seem to be a dichotomy of each other. So sometimes you'll take the test and go, really?
Really?
Exactly. Huh?
Well, I mean, I've never taken the test, but I could definitely tell you I'm an outgoing introvert.
there.
So I don't know if that helps or answers the
And no,
question.
it does. And honestly, that's one of the things that's a misconception. People think because we're outgoing, I'm an outgoing introvert. I can
Yeah.
spend hours not talking to anybody. Mike and I will go hours with sitting next to each other, never look at each other, not say a word, not watch TV, and then it'll be like 7 or 8 hours later, and then we'll both like, "Hey, do you want food?" Okay,
Yep.
but
That's yep. As
you would
when this when this interview ends, just so you know, I'm gonna put on a like big fuzzy onesie and put on Disney Plus, and my fiance is gonna come sit with me, and we're just gonna watch a movie together and not probably not talk. I'll ask him how his day was.
there you go. Yeah, I know how Mike's day went because we were at work together. Since you were with us, like things have changed. He quit his job as a chef. He works for
Oh,
me now. He's a coach for me. He works tops 20 hours a week as opposed to his crazy 60, 70-hour weeks that he was working before.
oh my god.
And we moved into a really less expensive everything. We sold off our cars, like we just didn't care.
I
And we're
love.
so happy because we spend everything together and it's okay. Like
Yeah.
most people say, "Oh, don't be married and ever." We do everything together. It's awesome. Joel says that he's also an outgoing introvert, and then John does too. So just all together, we'll have a party.
Yeah. And nobody will talk to anybody.
We'll just stay
It's
on
just
our
gonna be the
phones.
outgoing. I think we need like two separate party rooms for like the outgoing personality, and then like when you've spent all of that energy, like now we can go and just sit on our phone and like just be invisible.
Mike just said, "How did the conversation loop around to me?" Hi, babe. How you doing? Stuck as much? Okay.
Hi, Mike.
Because I'm sure he's going, "What's going on?" We've been on for 2 hours now, so clearly. All right, let's wrap this up. Let's
Okay.
agree that we can clearly go for. I mean,
We'll just have to like when I get more information and like get my car and everything and pick out a dress, and we'll have to meet again before Queen Beauty Universe.
absolutely. I
It's
mean,
basically what I'm
absolutely.
hearing.
Well, then this. I mean, honestly, I like do monthly updates. So what's Stormy doing now? I mean, and I want you to do that because I want people to know the story and hear what's going on and see that you know life is what you make of it. Hey Evelyn, how are you? Thanks for being here. Evelyn was one of the judges at NAM this year, so she's like, "Hi."
Oh,
Her queens have been on too. So,
yes.
so what would you like to say to everybody that we haven't said already, or you'd like to close with, so that everybody knows who's Stormy and what is Queen Beauty USA about, and what are you going to do with this title? So,
Yeah, I mean, so as a survivor of domestic violence, the word victim terrified me and really put a huge obstacle in my like road of pageantry. And where I competed for so long with USA and thought that this was my whole grand scheme, I found Queen Beauty USA, and where I was always scared to share my story and scared to be put on that platform. And these people have opened up and become my family, and they're like, we want you to share everything, every aspect that you want to share, and we want you to be entirely who you are, because that's just the people that they are, is that they're focused on models that are role models, bringing beauty back to pageantry, and hosting an honest, integrity filled pageant. And I think I'm so excited to be getting on at the ground floor of this organization, and I'm so excited to see what this year holds for me. And these are opportunities that they're giving me that not only will last for the year of my reign, but are doors that are open for me for the rest of my life now.
agreed. It'll
So
change everything.
if they're still watching, thank you, Tom, James, Joel. I'm so excited and look forward to working with everybody this year.
Awesome. Fantastic. John says he loved this. Thank you so much. Loves you, Stormy. Thanks for being here. Kenzie's giving high fives and hearts. So And I
Yeah.
know there's tons of people on still watching, so thank you guys for being here. Hold tight, don't hang up the phone. I'm gonna tag us out, but
Okay.
don't hang up the call. Just remember, people can hear you.
Thank you for the heads up.
Hold on. So you can snort. Go ahead. Hold on. Thanks, guys. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I so appreciate it. I love when we have fantastic title holders on that really have a story that they need to share and they need a positive space to be able to do it. Stormy, thank you for being that person that could share your story and have the strength to be able to do that. We need more people like you. For everybody that's been watching, if you haven't already, please like our Facebook page. This happens 2 times a week, sometimes 5 times a week, depending on how crazy I am. And we want real stories here. Uh, Follow us on Instagram, subscribe to us on YouTube. This will go up on our YouTube page, so it'll be easy to find. Uh, as Kenzie has put in the chat, be kind to one another because at the end of the day, I really do believe what Ellen says. It's not a joke, man. Just be kind to one another and recognize we're human beings. We're just trying to get through the day on this crazy planet and hopefully, be loved and learn to love ourselves. With all of that being said, thank you to all of our crownies. I'm grateful for all of you. Without you, I wouldn't have a reason to do this show and I'd be talking to myself. And not that that hasn't happened, but it's true. So thanks, guys. Have a great night. Our next show is Sunday at 5 o'clock, and I will see you guys then. Have a good night. Bye bye. That's a wrap.
Yay!